On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
A lot of my work is on my social media. We have a website just because the world says we need a website. Say I spend $100 on a lead on Angelus. I could spend $100 on Instagram and get 7 leads. But I'm not mad at Angie's Home Advisor because that was the way in. They gave the way into the business. And then 100%. We moderated.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in. What's up, everybody? Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Today, I've got James McLean on the King stage. My brother, how you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
You know, I'm incredible. We were just talking off stage. My little kiddos are going to school for the first day back today. Yeah. We were talking kids and life and all that fun stuff. So I'm excited to continue the conversation here. James, tell us what kind of business that you have, my brother.
I have a construction business that we consist of doing construction work on homes, not really commercial style, but more residential home remodeling. This time of the year, we focus a lot on decks and patios, a lot of outdoor spaces. So sure. Obviously in the wintertime, we may migrate a little bit into the basement factor, but kind of find our niche here is being outdoors. So we consider ourselves an outdoor construction company.
That's great, man. Yeah, there's a growing love from a residential perspective of the outdoor space and the outdoor kitchens and the outdoor just family area. You know, a lot of people like to be outdoors when they can be.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot to get into here. Of course, I want to hear about the business and your story. Before we do all that, I want to know for you as business owner, as a man, as a dad, we've talked about that already off air, but why do you, like, you've been doing this, you've been successful, and you're still doing it? Why? What drives you?
Honestly, my drive is my family. So that's always been my drive, is to make sure that my family is taken care of, right? So there's really no way around that. To me, everybody got to find their motivation, and that's my motivation there. So that keeps me going when times get hard, think about my family. When I started my business, you know, I always look at like these top business owners, right? Of like maybe the Amazons and the Walmarts and the top. So somebody had to start that business, right? Somebody had to bring it, what I call it, kind of bring the business out of the mud. You had to start somewhere. So I look at it as though I need to, when I start this business, when I hand it down to my kids, you know, I've done a lot of the blood, sweat, and tears into it. So bring it out of the mud and bring it up to something, you know, a trophy on top of a shelf, right? So when they get it, they take it to the next level, but they don't have to go through all the stuff that I had to go through learning the business and the construction side and stuff like that. They can just take it to the next level and skip over all that stuff down there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and there's a lot of, I think a lot of owners like you and I who think like that, where it's like, I want their floor to be my ceiling. I want their baseline to be my shoulders, right? Standing on what it is that I've already been able to accomplish. In fact, I've said it like this a couple ways for those that, you know the story of David in the Bible. It's like, I see myself, and what you just said, that's very similar. The language that I use is I see myself as a David and gathering the things necessary so that my kids can, you know, build the temple, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I love that motivation.
Yeah.
Where did, like, has that all, I mean, you haven't always had kids, but has that always been like the legacy play for you, been the motivator? Was it something different early on?
No, because technically speaking, I didn't always own a business.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but I was in construction field for 14 years. So,
got it.
You know, in the cable industry and doing my side hustle on the side. But it really didn't come in effect until I really want to start a business until, you know, started having kids, family, married, start having kids and stuff like that. And something that obviously we always want something to pass on to our kids. So having my own business coming up, graduating out of high school, no, I didn't really think about that. I was kind of have fun at that point. So
right. There's different stages we go through, right?
Yeah. So life started getting a little serious and stuff. And, I decided to take it to the next level per se and did things a little different. It's been a fun road, I call it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so like, I'm curious, because I think a lot of people relate to, what we say of like legacy or leaving something for our kids, but obviously things have grown over the course of time for you. I'd love to know, tell us how you got started in business. Obviously you were in the industry beforehand. Tell us how you got started in business, and then maybe we'll circle back around to how that has changed the motivation over the course of time.
So it's in my blood. Let me tell you why. So my dad, James McLean III, I'm the fourth.
Okay. Wow. You want to talk about legacy, bro?
Yeah.
That's legacy.
Yeah. So he has had businesses long as I can remember. He had a beeper business back in the day.
A beeper business. Yeah. I love it.
He had a beeper shop back in the day. So currently today he has his own driving school, his own photography and videography studio and business.
Yeah.
So I feel as though it's kind of in my blood. So it kind of came off kind of natural, natural talent a little bit, but you only can have so much natural talent in the business. You still got to really learn the business. So
that's right.
So when I started my business in actually my LLC got formed in October 2020 in the middle of COVID. Wow. And people kind of call me crazy.
Yeah.
Starting my business in the middle of COVID.
That's right.
But my mindset at that point in time, I want to kind of ride that market up and have my business ride with the market. COVID hit, it was pretty bad. So everything was pretty bad. So I wanted, I said, this to me was a perfect time. Kind of start when it's low and ride the wave on up. And we've been banging it out ever since. We've been busy, swamped.
That's right.
Living a business life dream. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, and so obviously you've done quite a bit of revenue in a pretty short amount of time. So let's talk about, from a systems perspective, what was something, or let me say it like this. What was the struggle? What was the biggest struggle from when you started until now in growing what you've, been able to grow?
So one of the biggest struggles I probably would have to say is getting my name out there. That's pretty obvious, right? Nobody knows you. Nobody knows your story. Right. Nobody knows what you do. They just say you have a construction business. Well, what do you do? What do you specialize in? Right. So one of the things that we had to kind of figure out what we specialize in, because when you say you're a general contractor, that's a general term, stuff like that. Or they say you are a carpenter. Carpenter is a broad spectrum of different carpentry work.
That's right.
So we had to really find out our niche. And our niche right now is outdoor spaces.
Yeah.
And we've been hitting it. Like I said, getting our name out there. What else? Letting people know who we are, and obviously funding your own business through your own money is a big thing yourself. Because when you start on a business, not a lot of companies really want to give you business funding.
Right.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that when you go for the SBA loans, small business loans, well, you need to be in business for 2 years before they even look at you. So that's a lot of stuff that people don't really know, the little details and stuff like that. So you in there, you funding your own business.
Yeah. You're not even at the 2-year mark right now. So I'm hearing you say marketing, getting your name out, exposure. Give us some examples of ways that have just crushed for you. Because obviously it's been a struggle, but you've overcome that, right? Like you got a lot of work. So what's been the best way for you to be able to get yourself out there?
So we started out on Angie's and Home Advisor. They're one company. They're one company now. So we started out on that. That was our way in.
Okay.
Because we didn't have too much of a following at that point.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was
our just needed lead flow.
Yeah, right. We needed lead flow. After that, it's just social media based. Like I have a website, but we don't really. I don't really push my website too much because a lot of my clients coming from Instagram and Facebook on social media base. A lot of my work is on my social media base. So I say that we kind of have a website just because the world says we need a website.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of stuff is on social media based. I mean, we can get into numbers about how much I may spend on a lead on Angelus versus how much I may spend on the same amount of money. Say I spend $100 on a lead on Angelus. I can spend $100 on Instagram and get 7 leads.
Right.
So, but I'm not mad at Angie's Home Advisor because that was the way in, right? They gave the way into the business, and then we migrated on. So, marketing.
Yeah, it's an interesting piece that you're talking about here. I want to point it out for the listener is that whether you're in the trades business like you are, or whether you're in franchise retail like I am, or real estate like I am, whatever the different industries, right? You need leads, period. Like you need new projects, you need new clients, you need new jobs. Like that's by far one of the most important things, obviously. But to your point is that just because one lead source might be quote unquote better, or maybe cheaper, or however we're quantifying this KPI, right? Just because one might be better, it doesn't necessarily mean that you go back to the other one and get rid of it. You still just run the numbers. Right. To your point, if the one is $100 and the other one's $50, but both leads make you money.
Exactly.
You don't go back and get rid of the quote unquote twice as expensive lead.
I would never get rid of it. It's just because it's still a source. You don't start cutting your sources off. You have multiple sources, like multiple sources of income. You have multiple sources of client leads and things in that nature. I'm not getting rid of it. Have we migrated? Oh yeah, we definitely we stepped it up. We got 3,600 followers on Instagram. So we stepped it up. But you don't cut body parts off now.
I mean, I love the perspective. Yeah, you don't cut body parts. I mean, why would you? Just because your right hand might be stronger and you're right with it doesn't mean you cut off the left hand.
You're right. So that's the business. And construction business itself is this fast moving business. I mean, you got to stay on it, and you can really get behind the ball if you don't stay on it. I mean, every day. So it's just
on Instagram, I think we've got a lot of folks that have, whether they've tried social media, whether they've just thought about lead generation. I think lead generation in general is a big topic, but specifically for the listener who hasn't hit that 7-figure revenue mark yet, they're thinking like, how do I get new clients? Usually. And so on Instagram, you said, I could spend $100 over there, for example, and get, more leads. Is that on paid shout outs? Is that on just Instagram ads? Like, give us just a quick download.
Instagram ads, Facebook ads.
And you have an agency doing this for you, or you spent some time and figured it out yourself? You took a course? Like, what's the story?
It's simple. It's really simple. You post a picture of your work, right? You go on Instagram and you say, I want to run this ad campaign for, say, I normally give a small budget of $10 a day for 10 days, $100, right? Yeah. Out of that 10 days, it gives you region or the area you want to run the ad in, and then you just run the ad, and then the leads start coming in. But you have to do good work. That's another thing. You can't put lipstick on the pig, right? And expect
That's right. That's right.
It has to be, a pretty cow all the way through. So So it sells itself in social media where, I mean, it sells itself. I mean, it's pretty much that simple. I mean, but we put out good work, good product. So they tend to migrate to us when we put that out there.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. I want to know, we're going to try and transition to decision making. I want to know of just a good decision. You've kind of already talked about maybe a good decision in getting leads, but give me like a clear, distinctive moment of like, boom, I made this decision. And it was like, yes, great move that we made in business.
I do have employees, right?
Of course,
yeah. One of my main decision that I really stuck to is leaving my field workers as subcontractors.
Okay.
Tell you why. It takes a lot of liability off of the company. So they have their own insurance. They're required to obviously have workers' comp, because if I have workers' comp, they need to have workers' comp. So they have their own insurances. but it takes the liability off of the company because if something happens, it falls on obviously their insurance. So here in the state of Maryland, subcontractors are not required to have a license. They fall under my license here in the state of Maryland. So long as it's my job, I have my subcontractor, they have my license, but I require them to have their own insurance because if something happens, I don't want it to sound really bad or anything like that, but it takes the liability off of my company in those events. So I think that having good subcontractors was one of the best decisions that I told myself to have, at least as far as in the field. Yeah. They work just like employees for us. They, we give them a task. It's a task for them to take care of. It's under their company, but they build it for me. They have their own liability. I have my own liability. We can part ways if need be. So
yeah. I mean, I think that the strategy that you're describing, because you could go either way, right? You could have them on your team and they'd be part of your business, and you'd have to cover the insurance and all that fun stuff. But at the same time, you would have probably a little bit different control. It doesn't mean that you don't have control now. It just means that if they have their own business, they can technically do their own thing, but the value that you're providing to them, covering with the license, being able to go out and get jobs, it's really what you've become. Is you become this marketing machine where you've got the jobs. If they want work, then they do business with you. Yep. Which there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's a business model that allows you to be best at what you do, which sounds like you got the license and you're securing the jobs, and then you're matching those things with high quality subs. Because otherwise your name would be, like you said, it would be lipstick on a pig.
I haven't started out that way though. So how I started out with my business, I was building myself. I was getting my own clients. I had employees then that I trained up. I was building myself. I'm up there, tools, hammers, everything. But one guy that a good friend of mine, one mentor that I have, he said, always told me, once you get to the opportunity to work on the business instead of in the business is always the best route to go, because you always can guide your company when you're working on it instead of in it. When you're working in it, something's going to fall off. You're juggling too much. Something's going to suffer somewhere. So while you're working on the business, you can definitely lead your company into the direction that you want to take it. So, but starting off, I mean, I was building. We was out there, out there in the heat,
swinging.
Yes, hammers, nail guns, all sorts of stuff. So I'm down. Like I said, I'm down to earth with the guys. I understand what the challenges that they have because I started out building myself. So
yeah, exactly. And so tell me, let's flip the coin here. Tell me about a bad decision that you made along the way that looking back was almost detrimental.
I will say this. I had to learn how to say no.
Okay.
Because saying yes is really expensive. Really, really expensive.
Okay. There's a story under there.
And so, not to get into too much detail with a client, but so in the residential side, you have to kind of set authority with your clients and let them know what you want to do and what you're not going to do. Because if so, they would get away with anything that can possibly get away with. So we had one project where we had to follow HOA rules in a neighborhood building a deck, but he wanted a certain different way. And then I said, you know what? I built it. That's the way you want to do it that way, right? I'm sorry, backtrack. I built it the HOA way, and then he wanted something else that ended up costing me like $3,000-$4,000 more. Right. That I fronted.
Yeah.
I ate that. And I was like, okay, so for now on, we setting authority. This is we follow policies. This is just what it is. So that was one of the times where it was like, God dang it.
Yeah.
God darn it. So.
And so the route there, what I'm hearing you say is that you were actually trying to do what was right for him.
Trying to please the customer.
Yeah, you were trying to give him the experience that he had hoped for.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't line out the way that it was supposed to, and it cost you some money.
Yeah, it cost me some money. And that's what I say. I got to start, saying no. Every all wants to please our clients and make they got claims the happiest people in the world because it's under your company and stuff like that. But when you set authority inside your company, you got to kind of just learn the word no, because yes, it's really expensive and really expensive. Time and money. It's not even just money, it's time as well. Once you say yes, you then committed yourself to that time. Whether it's you money or not, you committed your time to that. And time is money. So
yeah. I think that the person listening right now, you've already given, so many locking points in a business. Number one, you talked about working on versus in, and what that means a lot of times, even though you're a skilled tradesman or you're good at, in this case, when I've owned my first franchise, I was in the store cutting fruit, making deliveries, and that just, you can't grow to 7 locations in 3 states, 60 employees by being, the one cutting the fruit.
Yeah, you kind of limit yourself there. Working in it, you definitely limit yourself working in it for sure.
Right, exactly. So we're talking about mentality of growth. And then even just more recently here, we're talking about being able to say no. It seems counterproductive because 10 minutes ago you were talking about, well, you need leads, you need jobs. But really what we're saying is that, man, if you can really get specific and work on instead of in, and not get caught up in day to day or job to job, and what you can be focused on is what you're best at, or what makes the most sense, or what makes the most money. And then fill the pipeline with those, whether that's Instagram, Angeli's, or whatever,
Hire your weaknesses. Hire your weaknesses.
Okay, give us an example of that. I mean, that's obviously when we heard that. What does that mean for you?
So what that means for me is, I'm not the best at paperwork.
A lot of entrepreneurs, I think, can relate to that.
So you hire somebody to do paperwork, permits, a lot of the paperwork stuff when running for applying for permits, right, filing. It's a lot of different paperwork things. So I'm not the best at paperwork. I'm not saying I'm not great. I'm not saying I'm terrible. Right. It's just paperwork is one of the things that I don't really like that. I gotta do that. I can read it and sign
it. That's right. But yeah, I think that the reality there is like you said, if we can put together a team that of skill sets that can actually complement each other, then a lot of things can get done. Because you're right. In order to sign off on the permit, you don't necessarily need to read through the detail or be the one to call.
Right. Exactly.
Or be the one to fill out the application or fill in the blank. And I think too, when you hire the right people, like you're saying, and they understand their role, not so much of like, hey, get in your place, but more of a, hey, you're good at this. And when you own this, it allows me to own this. And they work really well together. So like when you're on, I can be on. And when I'm on, you can be on. And together it's like, boom,
Yeah, teamwork make the dream work, man. That's a mentality you gotta have, man. You gotta have a good team to make the dream come true. I mean, you just can't do it by yourself. It's not really, in my opinion, humanly possible to do everything by yourself. If you try to, something's going to fail. Some aspect of the business is going to fail because you can only just spread yourself but so far to be successful. Right. In my opinion. So
yeah, I appreciate that perspective for sure. I think we've all heard it a lot. To know what it's been like for you specifically in your side of your story is great.
Hey, Chaz Wolfe here. As many of you know, I have been on an absolute mission to help entrepreneurs from all across the country in many different industries level up their game and grow their business and intentionally connect with other entrepreneurs. We do that obviously through the podcast, but we also have a peer-to-peer mastermind group specifically for 7 to 9-figure business owners. We are bringing some of the best and most successful entrepreneurs and minds together in a regular and a super intentional way to not only grow our network, but to be able to leverage. And at a certain point in business, success becomes about leveraging time, leveraging resources, leveraging key relationships. This is exactly what we're doing inside of the peer-to-peer mastermind group called Gathering the Kings, specifically for 7 to 9-figure business owners. So if that's you, if you're ready to level up your 7 to 9-figure business even to the next level and get around other big hitters just like you, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com, fill out a short application, and it'll come to an application call with me, and I want to chat with you to see if it might be a good fit. Talk soon.
What would you say is like a discipline or maybe a process that you follow now when it comes to decision making?
Don't make decisions out of desperation.
It's good.
You're gonna kick yourself. You're gonna kick yourself later on down the run, because you're gonna look, when you look back on it, you're gonna realize that you made a decision out of just being desperate for whatever reason, whatever situation that you was in at the time. You made a decision out of desperation, and then you're gonna realize that wasn't the best decision to make, because that didn't cost me, I don't know, time or money here that I'm at now, looking back on it. So I try to not make, because running the business is not for everybody. I can tell you that now.
That's right. So,
there's been times where I was in the corner of my house, just with my head down, stressing out, because you still have bills to pay at home. So,
so you get the business bills, and then it's got to trickle home.
Right. You still got to come home. You still got to pay yourself.
Right.
The whole 9 yards. You still got to live. So it's like, that's why I say don't make a decision out of desperation, because that was one of my hard times was when I made a decision out of desperation. It hurt me in the long run, looking back on it. So just don't make decisions out of desperation. Stay away from that. It's gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be tough. It's always hard. Business is hard by itself. And then don't add on to what's already complicated. If business is already complicated, don't add on to the complication.
Right. Yeah, and so I just want to clarify here for the listener, because what you're saying is so true. And this decision making out of desperation can be, it could be put into almost any scenario in business and or even life. And so it could be you're on the estimate and you lower your price because you're desperate to get a job. It could be that you choose to do a type of work that you don't normally do because you're desperate to get a job. You maybe keep an employee longer than you're supposed to because you're desperate, because you can't hire anybody else.
About them employees, about the world we live in now, is having employees to work. It's the employee side of things now. It's a little difficult, but it's a touchy situation, because if I'm looking at it from an employee aspect, they say, well, you guys not paying us enough. Sure. Well, looking at the business aspect, well, I pay you for your skill set, right? So you can't expect to get top carpenter pay if you come in an entry level. Just because I have to train. If I have to train you, I can't pay you for a master carpenter. Right. But that's always the battle between the business owner aspect and the employee. I get I was an employee. I understand 100%. I mean, running the business, I can only charge for so much. So I can't pay you more money if I'm not making no more money, right? Right. Especially with wood prices going up, that's costing me a lot more money. So it's always a balance that we gotta have. Yeah. But keep a good work environment. Make guys want to be working. Yeah. Stuff like that. So
yeah, you're talking about all the back end things that keep you away from being desperate in that moment where you need to let somebody go, or you probably shouldn't hire this guy, but you do anyway because you're desperate. I think it goes back to your original thought of not making decisions out of desperation.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to add there?
We definitely underbid on a job before. I said I underbid on the job before out of desperation, because I just wanted to fill my schedule up so bad. Right. And oh my God, that was a stressful time for me.
So what would you say to that person who's listening right now, who's like, well, how else am I supposed to get the job? Like they're a little bit stuck in their way of thinking out of that desperation. What would you say to you back then now?
Oh, I would say that a lot of people always struggle on how much do I charge? I get that question a lot in the deck building business. Well, how much do I charge? How do I know I'm charging enough? Well, you have to it's a lot of aspects to getting your number. I always like to take 30%. The business needs to take 30% off of each contract, right? So we overhead, materials, permits, everything that's going to cost me money, and then take 30% off of that is what the business need to see. And that's after everything, right? So once you realize that, you get your number, stick to your number. Right. That's and then when you start lowering your number and you're eating all that cost. Yep. Why? Because you're desperate. Yep. For a job. I understand it'd be hard times. I've been there. I've been desperate to get a job or to fill my schedule up. I've been there, and I tell you right now, it is not a good feeling when it comes around. You gotta pay these guys to work. You gotta pay all this money for rising lumber prices. You gotta you have all this stuff to pay, and then your number then dwindle down to almost zero.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've had projects where I've lost money on that project, and I have to fill up my schedule to make up for that. Right. Why? Because I was desperate at the time, trying to get the job, and just I've been there. I'm telling you, stay away from it. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Not a good feeling at all.
You know, there's something I hear in the trades a lot is, well, I got to keep my guys busy. And I understand that perspective, because obviously if you keep you guys busy, they stay with you. They're not going to bounce around to other companies. So there is a baseline in that thought of like, okay, well, the least that I've got to do is at least find enough work to get these guys busy. I'll sacrifice. But if I can keep them busy, they're at least going to stick around. But what I'm hearing you say is, don't discount yourself. I know that you want to keep the guys busy, but just that thought of keeping, quote unquote, keeping the guys busy. It's like, no. Go out and project real jobs. Go out and project a real pipeline. It goes all the way back to what you were saying at the very beginning. If you have multiple lead sources, and obviously if you got a good sales process and you're not, cutting into the number, then you're going to keep the guys busy, plus make money.
Oh yeah. Trust the process. If you have a process, trust your process. Don't deviate from your process, because if your process has gotten us, like our first year with $300,000-$400,000 in sales, and this year we're going to do over $1 million in sales, right? Why? Because I'm trusting my process more and more and more. It sounds weird to say I'm trusting more and more and more, because when you lay it all out, it's kind of scary. Like, am I doing the right thing? Trust your process through and through. Yeah. So I put God first, right? So going back to what I said, I started my business in 2020, right? In the middle of COVID. People call me crazy as hell, right? They call me crazy. So, but my thing at that time was, God gives me this vision, and nobody's going to see that vision but me. It's not meant for whoever over there to see that. It's not meant for them to see. It's only meant for me to see. So I'm the only person to see my vision. Meaning to say, trust your process. Keep your faith and trust your process. If it's meant to be, it's going to be tough. Everything's tough. Everything that's meant to have, it's not never going to be smooth sailing. But you have to trust your process all over through.
Yeah. And I love that perspective, the vision, it's meant for you, because we all have this thought of what it's supposed to be, what our life's supposed to be, what the business is supposed to be. And obviously that vision should, like you said, lead us to faith that helps us make actions and decisions, which is what we've talked about here today, towards that vision coming to fulfillment. And so I just appreciate that. Let me go into the speed round here. I want to kind of come at you in a different angle here. I want you to take your entire business, James. I want you to dwindle it down into one trackable metric. If you could only pick one thing to track forever and ever, what would it be?
Marketing.
That comes back to your initial thing here. Okay. And we've talked a lot about marketing, filling the pipeline. Give us just one sentence on why would you choose that out of all the things in the business?
Because without marketing, you don't have sales. It's that simple. You can't sell nothing people don't know you have. That's
right.
For people to know you have, you need marketing.
You can have the greatest, shiniest widget, but if nobody knows about it, you can't even sell it.
And nobody's gonna buy it.
That's right. Okay, what book would you recommend, James, for a 6-figure business owner to read?
That's a tough answer, man. I actually have a book right here. Let me step off camera for a second that I read.
That's fine. Yeah.
Here.
Okay. Complete Guide to Money, Dave Ramsey.
Yes, I've read that book. I'm going to say this. If you haven't read the book, you need to read that book.
The way that you said I've read that book, it didn't seem like you skimmed it. It sounded like you studied it.
Yeah, because everybody knows Dave Ramsey, right? So you have to find people that's actually, in your opinion, that's kind of successful and kind of read their story. Simply be like myself. I'm an open book, and I figured Dave Ramsey open book because he wrote his own book, right? So you gotta kind of read other people's stories as well. It helps you along the road, because once you hit a fork in the road, or you run over a nice big fat pothole,
that's right.
It helps you navigate those challenges that you may run into. Putting a lot of good thoughts and opinions in your head kind of helps your brain to go back to some of those and put your own little spin on it and make it something that you can do or things in that nature. So I mean, I've read the book and I love it. So that's helped me for sure.
I think it's amazing what you just said, because in essence, you described this podcast, not like the podcast itself, but you telling your story today, right? Someone listening today is hearing you because you're where they want to be, right? You guys are going to hit the $1 million mark, over the $1 million mark. And they're thinking, man, wouldn't that be the dream? Right. And so they're hearing your story today, like you're reading Dave's. And I think you're absolutely right. We've got to continually put things in front of us that not only inspire us, of course, we want to be inspired, but it gives us like, okay, how did he do it?
Yeah.
And you've been an incredible example of that today. Next question for you is, do you intentionally network or mastermind with other entrepreneurs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And why?
It could be bounce ideas off each other. That's just what it is. So I have probably a circle of roughly 5 people. I mean, this is my core circle. Of course, you network all the time, but we're talking like really close friends.
Yeah.
That in all actuality, we worked at the same company together and we all out entrepreneur on our own self.
Nice. Very cool.
Or not together, but they
sure. Yeah. Collaborating.
Yeah, we bounce ideas off each other. If I had this hump in the road that I've overcome, I bounced off him and vice versa. He tells me, or they may tell me some things that they've done that help me. When if I ever get to that point, we bounce off ideas off each other. That's just the way to go. I mean, network for sure. So.
Yeah, love that. Okay. If you only had 1 hour, James, to work on your business each week, what would you do in that 1 hour each week to successfully run it like you do now?
Good question. 1 hour. Now it's not a lot of time. I had to say, make sure there's some good marketing 1 hour.
That's right.
1 hour.
Fill the pipeline, huh?
There's old pipeline marketing.
That's funny. Okay. James, last question. If you lost it all, what would you do?
If I lost it all, I'm so far into my entrepreneurship, it will be too hard for me to go backwards into the workforce myself. I'm too far ahead to go backwards. If I lost it all, I got a whole van full of tools. I can go back, I can hit the field myself and start working myself. I can find a way to make some money now.
Yeah. You know how to market.
I know how to market. I go on the market.
You just call up your lead sources tomorrow and set up a new account, right?
Yeah, there we go. So
that's good stuff, man. Well, how can the listener connect with you, James? They like you. They want to get to know you better. They want to learn contracting. They're in Maryland listening right now. They want to do subcontracting work for you.
So I'm at Facebook, Instagram, social media at McClean Contracting LLC. 1C MCLEAN Contracting LLC. Email info@McCleanContracting.net. Different way. That's a different way to get in contact with me. So.
Yeah, we appreciate that, man. Yeah, and you said you're an open book. You said that a couple times. Obviously, we said this off air, but like you're just a real dude, just a real guy out there making it work. Haven't been in business that long, but man, some incredible success. And we just appreciate you sharing your story. James, we wish you nothing but continued success and blessing in your family. I don't think we heard the kids very, very much there, but man, I was almost hoping that we did, because man, it's the legacy piece, right?
I've heard my 2-year-old.
Hey, that's all right. I think every entrepreneur, at least in today's world, I can guarantee probably 90% of the entrepreneurs listening to this story today, they're thinking, yep, I've been in that moment with kids in the background. So dude, just thank you again for making it happen. We appreciate your time. Nothing but blessing to you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing literally over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.